Okay, imagine this. You're looking at a painting that feels like it was ripped straight out of a Renaissance chapel. But instead of marble columns and European peasants, you're staring at a cocoa plantation in Cameroon. This is the world of Marc Padeu, and honestly, his work hits harder than most art you'll see this year. Let me explain why this isn't just about pretty pictures, it's a full-blown cultural reckoning. So, Padeu takes these iconic Western religious scenes, the Nativity, the Last Supper, you know the hits, and plunks them into the middle of rural Cameroon. At first glance, you might think, oh, cool twist. But wait, why does this feel so radical? Because here's the thing, for centuries, we've been trained to see European art as the default language of high art. Padeu slaps you with the reality that themes like sacrifice, hope, or family aren't owned by any continent. They are human. Period. And when he paints a Cameroonian woman as the Virgin Mary, her blue robes glowing against a backdrop of palm trees, he's not just diversifying art history, he's rewriting who gets to be the protagonist in it. Let me get real for a second. Padeu grew up in a country where the art infrastructure is basically non-existent. That's not an accident, it's a legacy of colonialism that still haunts Africa today. But here's the kicker, his work is blowing up in London and Paris, not Douala. That paradox. It's the same one every global artist from the global south faces. Are you making work for your community, or for the West's art collectors? Padeu sidesteps this by refusing to be a token African artist. He's not painting Cameroon for Western saviors, he's using his lens to show the world through Cameroon's eyes. Bold move, honestly. Now, let's talk about his process. He'll sit on an idea for months, obsessively reshaping it in his head before touching canvas. And when he does shoot reference photos, he doesn't use models, he grabs friends, family, strangers, and lets them live the scene. Why does this matter? Because the rawness in his paintings, the way a plantation worker's hands look like they could reach out and grab your soul, comes from that authenticity. He's not staging art, he's bottling lived experience. But here's the part that keeps me up at night. When Padeu reimagines Caravaggio's incredulity of St. Thomas as the blue man of Njom, he's not just copying. He's asking, why do we still act like these biblical stories belong to Europe? Those tales were always about shepherds and labourers, so why not Cameroonian farmers? The genius here is that he's not Africanizing Western art, he's exposing the lie that these narratives were ever ethnically exclusive. It's like he's whispering, you thought this was theirs. Nah, it's everyone's. And yet, the art world still wants to box him into African artist labels. His advice to aspiring creators: don't cling to identity as a crutch. That hit me like a lightning bolt. How many non-Western artists get reduced to their geography? Padeu saying, my culture is my soil, not my cage. He's not rejecting his roots, he's using them to grow something unpredictable. So here's my takeaway, Padeu's work isn't just pretty paintings. It's a manifesto. A reminder that art isn't about where you're from, it's about how deeply you observe humanity. And if you're sitting there thinking, but does it matter if the cup is held by a Cameroonian hand instead of a European one? That's exactly the question he wants you to ask. Because once you start questioning why we default to Western imagery for universal themes, well, the whole art world's house of cards starts to tremble. What's next? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out.